Hello everyone, I am Kiran Joshi. Welcome you all in Class 7 History. I am presenting the first chapter of History, Tracing Changes Through 1,000 Years, and here I am presenting the first part of the chapter. As the name suggests, in this chapter, we'll see the changes that occurred during a period of 1,000 years. You can see the two maps here. Map 1 is made in 1154 CE by the Arab geographer Al-Idrisi, and map 2 was made in the 1720s, nearly 600 years after the map 1, by a French cartographer. In Al-Idrisi's map, South India is where we would expect to find North India, and see Sri Lanka is the island that is at the top. While the map 2 seems more familiar to us, as during that time information about the subcontinent had changed considerably. The comparison also shows that the science of cartography also differed in the two periods. Therefore, historians need to be sensitive to the context or the historical background while reading a document, map, and text. Not only the context changes with time, but the languages and meaning too. For example, the term Hindustan. Today we understand it as India, the modern nation state. But in 13th century, a Persian chronicler Minhaz-e-Siraz used this term Hindustan for the areas of Punjab, Haryana and the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna that were a part of the dominions of the Delhi Sultan. This term never included South India. While in early 16th century, Babur used Hindustan to describe the geography, fauna and culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinent. Thus, the meaning of the term Hindustan kept changing with time. Also, there are terms which meant different things in the past. For example, the term foreigner. Today we use it for someone who is not an Indian, but in medieval period a foreigner was any stranger who was not a part of a particular society or culture. In Hindi, the term Pardesi might be used to describe such a person, and in Persian, it is Ajnabi. A city dweller, therefore, might have regarded a forest dweller as a foreigner. But two peasants living in the same village were not foreigners to each other, even though they may have had different religions or caste backgrounds. Now, let's talk about the sources that historians use. Uh, the sources depend upon the period of their study and the nature of their investigation. For the period from around the year 700 to 1750, they used coins, inscriptions, architecture, and textual records for information. During this period, paper was paper became cheaper and more widely available. People used paper to write holy text, chronicles of rulers, letters and teachings of saints, petitions and judicial records, and for register of accounts and taxes. Wealthy people, rulers, monasteries and temples collected manuscripts. These documents and manuscripts provide a lot of information to historians, but many a times they are difficult to use. Actually, in those days, scribes copied manuscripts by hand as there were no printing press. So, when scribes copied manuscripts, uh, sometimes they had to guess what was written, and there they introduced small changes, a word here, a sentence there. These small changes grew over centuries, and the manuscripts of the same text became different from one another. This is a serious problem because original manuscripts of the author is rare to find. So historians have to read different manuscripts versions of the same text to guess the original text. Now we'll see the social and political groups. So between 700 and 1750, variety of developments occurred. At different moments, new technologies appeared, such as Persian wheel in irrigation, the spinning wheel in weaving, and the firearms in battles and wars for combat. Now, if we say food and beverages, so these new food and beverages such as potatoes, corns, chili, tea, coffee also arrived in the subcontinent. These new technologies and crops came along with the people who also brought other ideas with them. Therefore, this was a period of economic, political, social, and cultural change. During this period, the period of 1000 years from 700 to 1750, groups of people moved towards the subcontinent for wealth and opportunities. For example, Rajput. Rajput term is derived from the word Rajputra, meaning the son of a ruler. Between the 8th and 14th century, the term Rajput began to be used generally for a group of warriors who had the Kshatriya caste status. Now, not only rulers and chieftains were called Rajputs, but the soldiers and army commanders of different kings were also termed as Rajputs. The poets and bards characterized Rajputs with extreme bravery and loyalty. Along with Rajputs, the Marathas, Sikh, Jat, Ahom, and Kayasthas also became politically important. Also, there was a gradual clearing of forest and extension of agriculture during this period. Due to the clearing of forest, many forest dwellers had to migrate. The rest of the forest dwellers became peasants. Gradually, these peasants became part of large complex societies. They had to pay taxes and offer goods and services to local rulers. As a result, there were great economic and social differences among peasants. Some had more productive land, some kept cattle, and some started artisanal work along with agricultural work. Now, people were grouped into jatis or subcastes and ranked on the basis of their backgrounds and occupations. Ranks were not permanent, that means they kept changing and varied according to the power, influence, and resources that the members of the jati controlled. Now, here the same jati could have varied status in different areas. Jatis had their rules and regulations. An assembly of elders, which was also known as Jati Panchayat in some areas, enforced these regulations to be followed by the Jati members. Jatis had to follow the rules of their villages also. Several villages were governed by a chieftain, and a group of villages made only a small unit of a state. So, this was the first part of the presentation of chapter 1. Now, before winding the presentation, here are some questions for you so that you can revise the topic once again. So, the first question is, in what ways has the meaning of the term Hindustan changed over centuries? Second, why was there a dramatic increase in the variety of textual record between 700 and 1750 CE? Who were scribes? How did they copy down the manuscripts? What was its drawback? Fourth one, list some of the technological changes associated with this period. Fifth one, how were the affairs of jatis regulated? Hope you liked this presentation. Stay safe, stay happy, and keep learning. Thank you.